Hi there, I'm Patrick McCoy on 5 Minutes. For the next 5 minutes, we're going to be talking to the one and only Howard Ziller, who works for NASA.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick.
Ladies and gentlemen, Howard Ziller. Welcome to 5 Minutes.
Great to be here, Patrick.
Alright, let's go ahead then. Not only myself, but I bet a lot of others are wondering, how is it working at NASA?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I feel some pressure here and there, but honestly, who does it on a daily basis, right? Yeah. And it just feels good for once being rewarded for being very smart.
Wow, that sounds like quite an experience. What do you do at NASA?
I am an aerospace engineer. An aerospace engineer needs to know math, science, and engineering. I have a bachelor's degree, which is required not only for what I do, but for biology, computer engineering, meteorology, general engineering, all that goody. And you can obviously get a higher degree to work at those jobs, but I chose not to because I wanted to start working right away.
You said before that you feel pressure. What kind of pressure and how much?
Yes, there is pressure. I know I probably shouldn't be saying anything, but sorry my boss, Bob, in advance, but working for NASA is a blessing. It's great. But they have expectations. They have very high expectations, and it's very hard to meet those expectations every day.
Okay. What kind of expectations?
As an aerospace engineer, I have very high expectations, and those expectations include driving Curiosity on Mars. Excuse me. Curiosity is one of the 2 rovers on Mars as we speak. Opportunity is the other one. I get to drive Curiosity on Mars and make sure it doesn't land in a crater or get stuck. If it gets stuck, I'm fired. I'm not going to be working at NASA anymore, I can tell you that for sure. So that's a lot of pressure. Aerospace engineers that were working during Apollo 13 had very high expectations. They had to be 100%, no system failures, no running out of fuel, and obviously they did not meet those expectations. But when the pressure was on to get those astronauts home, they got it done.
You bring up Apollo 13, so I had to ask. Do you think spending billions on a mission, failing, then trying again was a good idea?
Of course, yes. This generation today isn't the only generation that was curious. Apollo 13 wanted to explore space and see what the moon was like. Money shouldn't be a concern when we talk about space and the moon, okay?
Do you think NASA should have stopped the Apollo missions? Like I said before, we were curious, and money should not be a concern when we talk about space and the moon.
Some of the Apollo missions were successes and some were failures. We sure did spend a lot of money on those Apollo missions, not gonna lie. But you have to look at what we were able to accomplish with all those missions to the moon and in space. I mean, we went to the moon 6 times. 6 times, that's incredible. You don't see any other country do that, do you? No, United States is awesome. Go USA, USA. But to answer your question, yes, I do believe that NASA should have stopped the Apollo missions. They made a correct decision. Go NASA.
You mentioned the word failure. So my next question is, what are some failures that NASA has experienced?
Yes, that's a very good question. How many were there? Well, yeah, okay. So there was 2 Apollo missions that were failures. Our first one, our very first Apollo launch, it was a fail. 3 astronauts lost their lives due to a fire that swept through the command module. And the other one was Apollo 13, which they had an explosion on board while in space, and 3 other astronauts had to circle the moon, and they made it alive back on Earth, which is good. But other than that, there's no other Apollo missions that were failures.
Last question, I promise. What are some successful Apollo missions?
Without a doubt, the most successful mission was Apollo 11. Apollo 11 carried Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and Michael Collins to the moon, and they were the first human beings to ever step on the moon. That's incredible.
Most successful mission right there. A big thank you to Howard Ziller for coming on my show, 5 minutes, and talk about NASA. Now join me next week for the question that everybody has been asking. Does jet fuel really melt steel beams?
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.